America's team took Ezekiel Elliott 4th overall, and at one point, Zeke had the highest-selling jersey. But did his debut live up to it? According to Zeke, his NFL debut was just average, despite the fact that he did score his first career touchdown. That's a quote from him. That's not why I was brought here to be average. So we've got a lot of work to get done, a lot to work on. Stephen A., what do you expect from Ezekiel Elliott the rest of the season?
Well, I think the first thing that I expect from Ezekiel Elliott is for him to stop lying to the American public. He called himself average. It was significantly below average. A matter of fact, it was quite putrid, and that's a word that Ezekiel Elliott should know. 20 carries for 51 yards. That's a 2.6 yard per carry average. Somebody needs to tell Ezekiel Elliott that a guy by the name of Ray Rice is not in the league primarily because people keep saying, even though we're trying to move beyond the whole domestic violence thing, the dude was on the downslide because he was only averaging 3 yards a carry when he ultimately ended up out of the league. You start your first day in the league coming from Ohio State, rushing for over 200 yards in your last game in a Buckeyes uniform, being the stud that you were, ultimately ending up being a top 5 pick in the NFL draft and playing behind what is widely considered to be the best offensive line in all of football, and you could barely do a damn thing. So when you sit up there and call your performance average, with the exception of that one TD yard scamper, I think it was for about 6 yards, you did pretty close to nothing the entire day. So when you say it was average, I like Ezekiel Elliott. I've got faith in him. I believe in his abilities. But the first thing he needs to do is to stop lying to himself and to the American public, and that's what I expect from him, by calling his performance average. It was below average, significantly below average. And if you continue to average 2.6 yards per carry, I promise you, we're going to see a hell of a lot more of Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden when he returns than we will see from Ezekiel Elliott, because he looked like Trent Richardson out of Bama, the former number 3 overall pick. We knew Trent Richardson could play too. Real stocky, short, muscular, hardcore, had a lot of power. But when he got to the NFL level, those are grown men that you're going up against with families to feed and mortgages to pay. And they ain't worried about you and your strength because they've got their own. You've got to have some elusivity to your game, some versatility, some quickness, some speed, some agility. You've got to have all of that. You've got to bring the whole arsenal. And I'm saying to Ezekiel Elliott, we didn't see that this past Sunday against the New York Giants. We didn't see it at all. Them acquiring Damon Harrison from the New York Jets, who is primarily recognized as a run stopper, certainly has helped to buffer the Giants' defensive front four, and I give them credit for that. And their defense looks better. We'll see as the season progresses. But Ezekiel Elliott, to answer the question directly, what I expect from him is to be more of a truth teller, to call it like it is, and when you stink up the joint, own it, okay? Because you ain't going to progress if you can't admit how much you initially regressed. That's what I expect from Ezekiel Elliott, and I think truthfulness is ultimately the way towards prosperity, particularly in his case. To sit up there and delude yourself makes you an official member of the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't think you want that right now.
No, telling the truth doesn't hurt. But you know what really helps in terms of prosperity? Running behind a great offensive line. That's what the Dallas Cowboys have. Ezekiel Elliott is going to be just fine. You saw in college when the stakes were at their highest, he was at his best against the best competition. Now, where there is a kind of crack in the facade of the Cowboys offensive line, maybe it's Doug Free, maybe it's the right tackle, veteran guy, maybe on the back 9 of his career. And for a running back, that's kind of important that the right side of the line is good, especially as many times as Ezekiel Elliott's broken his left hand. He carries it on the right side as a right-handed quarterback. And generally, if you don't have real protection there, your run game could be a little suspect. But we saw DeMarco Murray, not the most elusive guy, run behind very much the same line or a similar line and rack up the yards. If you want to look at week 1 and try to forecast his season, now, we don't have other evidence on Ezekiel Elliott in the NFL. But Adrian Peterson had 19 carries for 31 yards behind a really good offensive line in Minnesota. Now, we have a whole history with Adrian Peterson. We know he's one of the greatest players who ever lived, so no one's panicking. But Adrian Peterson was worse I mean, you know, Ezekiel Elliott on 20 carries had 51 yards. Adrian Peterson on 19 had 31. Todd Gurley, and I think a lot of Ezekiel Elliott, I think behind the similar offensive line to Todd Gurley, he wouldn't be as good. You know, Gurley, I think, is another level of talent, even from Ezekiel Elliott. Gurley carried the ball 17 times, had 47 yards. They're good running backs. We saw Gurley last year as an excellent running back already, one of the top 2 or 3 in the game, you could argue. Adrian Peterson's one of the greatest who ever lived, still, you know, expected to have a big season. Neither guy did anything. And particularly in Peterson's case, running behind a good line. So one game is a tiny sample size. You know Ezekiel Elliott's going to be good. I would not say Trent Richardson at all. You want to say a DeMarco Murray? Okay, he runs downhill more than side to side and all that kind of stuff. Not super elusive. But behind this line, a guy who runs that way can and will have a lot of success, and that goes for Ezekiel Elliott this year.
Max, let me tell you why I so strongly disagree with you, because I think you're missing a point here. You're not wrong about anything you're saying. You're just incomplete. You're not taking into account 2 things. Number one, the guys he has to compete against. In terms of Alfred Morris, who was effective for the Dallas Cowboys in the second half, was actually better than Ezekiel Elliott was, along with Darren McFadden's return because he had a 1,000-yard season last year. And you're not taking into account the fact that even though he's the number 4 overall pick and it's in their best interest to ensure his success, the flip side is the Dallas Cowboys are a bit desperate because time is running out on Romo. They know that they've got Dak Prescott, but they would prefer to have Romo because of his experience and how far a veteran could take you as opposed to a rookie. And you've heard Jerry Jones allude to this on several occasions publicly. Clock's ticking. He's not getting much younger. Dallas Cowboy fan base, 20 plus years since a Super Bowl appearance, let alone a title. You've got all of those things working against Ezekiel Elliott. He is not some rookie that's coming in that just has the cart laid out for him where here's the ball, it's your show, it's your team because you're the number 4 overall pick and we're investing in you. They've got 2 other backs that they could rely upon. They've got a quarterback that they're expecting to come back. And they've got an owner desperate to win now.
If they thought they could rely on the other running backs, they wouldn't have used their first-round pick on Ezekiel Elliott. They were also playing the Giants.
No, remember, Alfred Morris came after.
But McFadden, fine. But they still picked up Alfred Morris. Ezekiel Elliott's going to get, he's going to be the bell cow, if not the primary option, or vice versa. You look at the Giants, where they spent their money, defensive line. You didn't mention Olivia Vernon, who's, you know, goes after the quarterback, but is also good against the run.
I forgot him.
Yeah, Dak Prescott.
I just forgot his name. I just forgot him.
Right, $200 million on the line and in the secondary, not the safeties, not the linebackers, but the corners. So here you have a rookie quarterback, you know, not deer in headlights, but certainly it's a big experience for him. And his best receiver down the field, there's a blanket on him no matter where he goes, because they got 3 guys who can play at the corner position, the Giants do, and they have a vastly improved defensive line, making it difficult up front. So it's harder on Prescott. It's harder on Ezekiel Elliott. It's his first game. He's going to be fine. Ezekiel Elliott's going to have a big year.
Okay, you can believe that. I'm not so sure. I hope he does, but I ain't so sure.
We will leave it there.
You got him on your fantasy team. You better hope he does.
So Zeke has something to prove.
I had to because I just learned to play fantasy, and y'all tricked me.
We will leave that one there. Don't have time to touch it. AJ Green, who joins us thanks to Rock and Refuel. AJ, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank y'all for having me.
We appreciate it. So not a bad day in the office for you on Sunday, as we just highlighted. When did you know you'd get the better of Darrelle Revis?
You know, I didn't know. You know, my job was out there, just go out there and play as hard as I can and try to make plays and put my team in the best situation to win. And that's what I try to do each and every week, just go out there and win the one-on-one matchups.
You know, AJ, thanks for coming on the show, man. This is Stephen A. I got to ask you this. I mean, I'm looking at your team right now. From a talent perspective, y'all are one of the best. There's no question that y'all have the talent, and it certainly helps that they have you. However, I want to know what your focus is coming into this season compared to seasons past, considering how last year ended for y'all with that whole chaos against the Steelers in the playoffs.
You know, for me, it's it starts with Andy and I, and this offense runs through us. And as we go, you know, our offense go, and that's my approach week in and week out of this year. I have to be that dog out there and make every play to put my team in the best situation to win. So that's my approach.
Hey, Jay, with this, Max Kellerman here, this era of receivers, it's kind of like the best catch anyone's ever seen is the last great one they saw. And watching you or Antonio Brown or Odell Beckham Jr. or Julio Jones, and there are others that I'm not even mentioning, that you can't imagine that someone's better than that guy when you got your eyes on him. Where do you rank among the game's best receivers?
I think I'm one of the best. You know,
Clearly,
I
but
feel
where?
like my body of work speak. Yeah, I don't put myself wherever y'all want to put me, but I'm definitely think I'm the best. I'm not gonna say nobody's better than me, but you know, you gotta look at the body of work. You know, I've been doing this since I got in this league, so I don't have to, you know, showcase my talents or talk about how good I am. I just let my play do all the talking, and that's the guy who I am, and that's. Go ahead.
AJ, you certainly don't have to do that with me, bro. And I'm a Steelers fan, but you certainly don't have to do that with me. We know how legit you are. And you know, and you and I have spoken on several occasions in the past. You know my issue is not with you. My issue is with that damn team of yours that cannot win a playoff game to save y'all lives. I want to know what is the mentality of the Cincinnati Bengals this year, and when are y'all going to get to the point where y'all going to win a playoff game? That's what I want to know. I'm asking that week one because I got you here in front of me. That's what I want to know.
Right. I know you don't like us, Stephen A., but it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna prove you wrong one day. We're gonna prove you wrong, and we're gonna have this conversation again. But like I say, man, we're just taking a week at a time. And like last year, it was very heartbreaking just to go out there and lose a game like that. And the game that we thought we were the better team, and we had that game won. But this year's a new team. Like this year, Coach Lewis is always preaching, keep our poise. It's a new team, new guys, new season, and that's the approach we're taking. And me as a leader, that's what I got to enforce into our locker room.
AJ, I was really looking forward to watching you guys play with Andy Dalton in the playoffs last year because it felt like he turned a corner, and I thought there were indications maybe he'd play well in the playoffs last year for the first time, really well up to his ability. The way he was playing in fourth quarters, better than the rest of the game, the way he was playing in primetime games, et cetera. Can you speak to that at all, the Andy Dalton from last year? Was there a difference from the Andy Dalton in the past?
Of course. You saw how he started the season, how we started the season. He was having an MVP season. And, you know, just having him go out the way he went out is definitely a loss for the team when you lose one of your best guys. And being the quarterback is even harder. So, like I said, it's so good to see him back here this year, and he's healthy, and you saw what he did week one. He got knocked down a couple times, but his poise and his presence in that pocket that we made plays when we needed to.
AJ, while you're on the air, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. I know you got to run, and I'm going to let Molly take it away, but I want you to know, you know I like you. I like Pac-Man. I know Montez can play. I don't like the fact that y'all keep losing in the damn playoffs. It's not a single playoff win in Marvin Lewis's coaching career here. That's what I don't like. I just want the record to be straight.
I got you. I understand, Steve. I understand. We're going to get this straight once we win this playoff game, and then we're going to revisit this conversation.
Okay. I love it. AJ, now that we're good on that, we want you to weigh in on this conversation we've been having on the show today. We have a Twitter poll, and it's which is the best quarterback-wide receiver combo of all time. We want to get your thoughts on that.
All time?
All time. Anyone in history. Bring it back.
I like Randy Moss and Culpepper.
Culpepper. Okay, that's a new one. We like it. Thank you so much for the time. Best of luck this season, and we can't wait to see you. You'll be in the Steel City this weekend. Always fun. Bengals, Steelers. We'll tune in for that for sure. Coming up next.